This is reality TV that works. Startups, made in Kansas City.
I came up with the idea for Fnect because I just kind of ended my last sports season playing high school soccer, and I was really missing being an athlete and being involved with games and stuff, and I was thinking about the psychology of a fan and how we all kind of were either involved with athletics at some point or played, and everyone is kind of looking for a way to get back into the game, and that's why we are such competitive fans.
Fnect is a sports app that's a social platform for sports fans. It's a place that will give credit and give due credit to large, meaningful events inside of sports fans' lives. So it's a social platform for sports fans, but with an underlying meaning and mission, and that mission is to prove who has the best sports fans.
Fnect is a way to quantify which teams have the best sports fans, and then after that, also lets fans see where they rank within their team as a fan. So if you're a fan, you can A, fight to prove that your team has better fans than your rivals, and then B, to prove that you are the #1 fan within your team.
If you ask a KU fan if they have better fans than Missouri, every single one of them is going to say yes. And you walk across the border, Missouri fans are going to say the exact same thing. And so Fnect is really the gamification of being a sports fan, where sports fans can gather and have their own social platform, but then also be fighting for their teams, like Hunter mentioned, to prove who in fact has the best fans and where they rank inside their team as a fan. So I came up with the concept of a very low-friction, non-intrusive advertising inside of apps because I felt like it was a very happy medium between what's out there. So right now, you've got kind of two sides of the spectrum. You have an app for, say, for example, Angry Birds, where there's pop-ups constantly, and it kind of destroys the user interface inside of an app. And then you have, on the other side of the spectrum, Instagram, where there's zero ads. There's nothing that's getting in the way of the user interface or the user experience while they're using the app. So to keep the lights on inside of an app, you have to monetize. My idea was to find that happy medium, and the example that I use if there is a segment inside of SportsCenter called the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts 6-pack of questions. It's a perfect example of the way we're going to try and monetize inside of Fnect. When people hear Coors Light, they don't mind because they go, it's a very simple, straightforward branding piece, and they move straight to the content. Doing that doesn't destroy any of the user experience inside of an app or that show. So inside of Fnect, what we're going to do is actually seek out large brands to sponsor each of the games inside of Fnect. The Fnect games are the core of the app.
So answering to investors is a lot different because basically now it's like more than just trying to keep my job. I'm also just trying to pay back someone who really trusted me and put a lot of faith in me from the beginning. So I think for me, it's a lot more motivating to work for someone who gave me their trust from the beginning than someone who's just kind of ruling what I do on a day-to-day basis.
When you are running a startup, you're creating something out of absolutely nothing. It's utter chaos. There's some days where you have no idea exactly what to do or how to do it. And finding the drive and the passion every single day, going to work and knowing that there's a large goal at hand, and all you can do is apply yourself to the best of your ability to achieve these goals on a day-to-day basis. You have to wear so many different hats that I think it's distracting so many times because you can get so focused doing one part of the business. For example, developing the app. Well, developing the app isn't going to tell a bunch of people about Fnect. So you have to develop the app, then tell a bunch of people. Well, you can't do any of those things if you don't have the money to make those things happen, the marketing, the development. So I would say staying focused on achievable goals is difficult, but that's also the beauty of a startup and the beauty of especially a tech startup. It's very fun for me to go to work every day to develop a mobile sports app that's also my own company. I mean, that's kind of a dream come true. I've always been a sports fan. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So combining the two and going and telling all my friends and family and people who I've never met before about Fnect is very, very enjoyable experience.
A co-production of KCPT and Outpost Worldwide, at home in Kansas City. Production, post, content.